Alright, I forgot to turn down the Bears game before I got started with this. I'm going to make a video for the advanced algebra review worksheet for the topic 2 test, just in case anybody's not at school on Monday or anything to that effect, or in case you need some extra help on the review worksheet. So anyway, number 1 is to graph y equals negative 2x plus 3. And so we can draw a graph here. And so 3 is our y-intercept. And then we're going to rise negative 2 and run positive 1. Rise negative 2 and run positive 1. And our line is supposed to have a negative slope, and we're going downhill. That line does have a negative slope, so I've probably done that correctly. Okay. Number 2, write the equation of line that passes through the points 3, negative 1, and negative 2, 14. And I forgot to put that on the review worksheet that I want that in slope-intercept form. And so we're going to find the slope first, because there's two things we need to write the equation of a line. We need slope and we need a point. We've got 2 points, which allows us to find the slope. So we take 14 minus negative 1 over negative 2 minus 3. That's 15 over negative 5, which is negative 3. And then, so I have y equals negative 3x plus b. And to find b, I'm going to plug in one of those points. And I'm going to plug in the one on the left, the 3, negative 1. So negative 1 for y equals negative 3 times 3 is what I'm plugging in for x. Negative 1 equals negative 9 plus b. And I'm going to add 9 to both sides. And I get 8 equals b. And so my answer is y equals negative 3x plus 8. Number 3, what is the equation of the vertical line that passes through the point negative 2, negative 9? And we want the vertical line. Vertical lines are x equals lines. So the equation is x equals negative 2. And you could draw a picture. Negative 2, negative 9 would be somewhere down here. And this is the vertical line we're talking about. And that's x equals negative 2. Number 4, for which values of a, b, and c be a vertical line through 9, 3? So ax plus by equals c. We're talking about a vertical line, then that means that b is 0. And it's the vertical line through 9, 3. So 1 is a. Because this gives me, if I simplify this, this gives me x equals 9. And that would be the equation of the vertical line through that point. So letter C is the choice where A is 1, B is 0, and C is 9. The answer there is letter C. Number 5, we are writing the equation of that line. And I'm actually going to switch over to the actual piece of paper here. The line through this point. It'd be nice if we could figure out what that y-intercept is, but it's a fraction and we would be guessing. And so what I did instead was I chose 2 points. It crosses at a point here, and it gave me this point down here. I could also use this point right here if I wanted to, or even this point down here. But I'm going to use this one, which is at 1. One's hard to see, but it's at 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to use the points -3, -2, and the point 1, 4 to write the equation of the line. And we want the equation of that line in point slope form. So I still have to find the slope, because two things that we need to write the equation of a line is point and a slope. So I still need to find the slope. So I get 4 minus -2 over 1 minus -3, and that's going to be 6 over 4, which reduces to 3/2. Okay, so then y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1 is point slope form. So we get, I'm going to use the point that they gave me, -3, -2. Y minus -2 is y plus 2 equals the slope, 3/2 times the quantity, x minus -3, which is x plus 3. And we leave it at that because that's what it asked for. Okay? All right. Number 6. Number 6 says, what is an equation in point slope form of the line that passes through the point -2, 10, and has a slope of -4? So this is easy, right? All we have to do is plug it into point slope form, which again, my pencil's acting up. Come on, there we go. Which again is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So I plug in the point, you get y minus 10 equals the slope, which is -4, times the quantity x minus -2 is x plus 2. And that's all they're looking for. Okay. Number 7 is write an equation in point slope form of a line that passes through the points -1, -4, and 2, 5. So this is the same that I could do as I did on the graph. Find the slope first. So that's going to be 5 minus -4 over 2 minus -1. That's 9 over 3, which reduces to 3. And we want point slope form. Doesn't matter which point we pick. I'm going to pick 2, 5. Y minus 5 equals 3 times the quantity x minus 2. If you pick the other point, your answer would be y plus 4 equals 3 times the quantity x plus 1. Either one of those answers is correct. Number 8. They want us to graph 4x plus 8y equals 16. The good thing about standard form is I can graph it pretty easily if I just find the intercepts. So to find the y-intercept, I let x be 0, and I solve 8y equals 16, which gives me that y is 2. And then to find the x-intercept, I let y be 0, which leaves me with 4x equals 16, and x is 4 when I solve that. So we plot those points. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Showing off. I can count to 4. 0, 2 would be here, and 4, 0 would be over here. And drawing in that line, and there we go. Okay. Number 9. Write the equation in standard form of the line that has x-intercept 6. So the x-intercept is 6, which means that's the point 6, 0. and the y-intercept is -2, so that's the point -2. So I've shown you two ways to do this. Okay, one way is to say something times x plus something times y equals something. Okay, and that something is the least common denominator between 6 and -2. And I'm going to say it's going to be +12. And so now, when y is 0, okay, when y is 0, what would the coefficient of x have to be so that when I divide it, when I take 12 divided by it, I get 6? The answer is 2. 12 divided by 2, x equals 6. And then I ask the same question, when x is 0, okay, what would the coefficient of y be so that when I take 12 and divide by that coefficient, I get -2? And the answer would be -6. And then we would probably switch this to 2x minus 6y equals 12. The other way to do this is to find the slope. Slope would be -2 minus 0 over 0 minus 6, which is -2 over -6, or 1/3. Draw a line here so we don't get mixed up. So y equals 1/3, or actually I'm going to use point slope form. Nope, I'm going to use slope intercept form. Y equals 1/3 x, and then I know the y-intercept, it's -2. That's why I switched to slope intercept form. And I'm going to move the x to the other side, -1/3 x plus y, and then I'm going to multiply everything through by -3, which is going to give me x here minus 3y equals x minus 3y equals 6. You're saying, hey, wait a minute, that's not the same answer we got over there. And you're right, it's not, because I chose the wrong greatest common factor. I should have chosen 6. So if you notice, I could divide everything here by 2, which would give me x minus 3y equals 6. But technically, this answer is also correct. Another answer that would be correct would be 4x minus 12y equals 24. Okay, because they would all be the same line. But anyway, I prefer this method. As you can tell, this one isn't my strong point. So, you know, whichever works for you, whichever you understand better. All right, number 10. What is the equation in standard form of the line y equals 3/2 x plus 3? So to change that to standard form, we want the x on the other side, so -3/2 x plus y equals 3, and then I want to multiply everything by -2, because this leading coefficient has to be positive, and everything has to be not a fraction. It has to be an integer. So that's going to give us 3x minus 2y equals -6. And that's what they're asking us to do, is just transform this to standard form. And there we go. Number 11, what are the x and y intercepts of 5x plus 8y equals 20? And they are, it's in standard form, so I can just employ my intercept method. If x is 0, I get 8y equals 20. Y is 20 over 8, which reduces to 5 over 2. Okay, so 5 over 2. And then for the x-intercept, I let y be 0. So that gives me 5x equals 20. Divide by 5, x is 4. Okay. Number 12. Determine whether the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. X plus 7y equals negative 3. Y equals 7x plus 25. Okay. So I think some of you, the method that you employed was to try to graph these lines, and technically that would be probably the most difficult way to figure that out. Really all we need to do is find the slope of each line. So the slope of this line is 7, and then we find the slope over here, so we move the x to the other side. Minus x minus 3 divide by 7 gives us negative 1/7 x minus 3/7. So the slope here is negative 1/7. And when I compare those slopes, they are quite obviously not the same. And they actually are opposite reciprocals of each other. And if the slopes are opposite reciprocals of each other, the lines are perpendicular. Okay. If there would have been no relationship between the slopes, I would have said neither. Like, I think that's what we had on the quiz last week, on the quiz over this section. They were neither. If they had been exactly the same, I would have said parallel. They're not. They're opposite reciprocals, so I say the lines are perpendicular. And 13 says which lines are perpendicular to the line 6x plus 18y equals 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the slope of this line. So I'm going to have 18y equals negative 6x plus 5. So y equals negative 1/3 x plus 5. And then letter A has y equals 3x minus 10. And it's asking me which lines are perpendicular. So the slope here is negative 1/3. The slope here is 3. Those are opposite reciprocals. So that's one of my answers. Letter B is x equals 3. Nope. The slope of a vertical line is undefined. Not an answer. Letter C is y plus 6 equals 3 times the quantity x minus 15. Well, that's point slope form, and the slope here is 3, and so that would also be perpendicular. And then letter D has 3x plus 9y equals 8. So 9y equals negative 3x plus 8. Y equals negative 1/3 x plus 8/9. No, that's the same slope. D doesn't work. My answer is A and C. Okay. And then the last problem, kind of short on space here. Write the equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through negative 1, 11, and is parallel to the graph of y equals negative 8x minus 2. So that's going to be, if they're parallel, the slope here is negative 8. The slope of the line parallel to it is negative 8. I need two things to write the equation of a line. I need point and a slope. So here's my point, and my slope is negative 8. It wants my answer in slope-intercept form. So y equals negative 8x plus b. And then I'm going to plug 11 in for y and negative 1 in for x. That gives me 11 equals 8 plus b. Subtract 8, and I get b is 3. So my answer, y equals negative 8x plus 3. And that is all.